Welcome back to some Ascension World of Warcraft, and today we have the manliest challenge ever. You think hardcore is hardcore, but truly adventure mode is the most hardcore, and while they call it adventure mode, what it really means is the world is a deadly dungeon. Every single creature is now elite, which is why we need the manliest character of all time, Scuba, who only eats nails for breakfast to get us through this WoW Man challenge, as this is the manliest challenge to ever occur in World of Warcraft. Hopefully this isn't confusing at all. This server is still wildcard, meaning I have to roll for all of my abilities. However, like every real man, I cheat. I felt scummy even saying that as a joke. The much less destructive cheating I'm referring to is using skill cards that I found in previous runs in order to augment what abilities I'll find and win. After looking Chance dead in the eyes and saying I am the captain now, I decided that I'm going to be a pyromancer with a tamed dragon to start off my run. I don't know about you, but throwing fire at your opponents with a dragon sidekick sounds pretty manly to me, says the relatively small man making WoW videos for the internet. And I know, less than 45 seconds ago I told you how dangerous this world is, but trust me, level 1 is a cakewalk. It only gets worse from here. In adventure mode, you get 50% less experience for killing things, so you have to do a lot of quests in order to level up. The small bearded man asked me to grab him some wolf meat, so I'm gonna do exactly that. A wolf dropped this really cool axe, so now my testosterone's leveled up. Fun fact, gnomes look constipated when they're trying to cast spells. One of my victims dropped a pickaxe, which is even more manly than my regular axe. Unfortunately, it did not drop fiber. After returning the wolf meat to Larry the Cable Guy, I leveled up and proceeded to walk away, but in true manly man fashion, I didn't realize that he was supposed to give me more quests. I said I walked away on purpose for dramatic effect. Real men don't look at explosions and I just blew up your toilet. After that awkward exchange, I was hired to murder a bunch of people who didn't know how to shave. Because the dwarf said, if you don't have an esthetician, do you even really get to live? Like honestly, you need perfect hair everywhere. I also found these fabulous gloves, and 9 out of 10 teenagers say it gives me the Ohio Riz, and that sounds good, right? After fighting all of those follicle felons, I was tasked with the quest of going to see a man almost as manly as me. Oh my god, how did you get so much manliness all in one package? Is this even legal? Do you have a permit for that? He's so manly, he's like being a dad and a granddad at the same time. After taking a moment to reflect on my lack of biology understanding, I decided it was time to exercise. Remember, the manliest exercise is hopping around like a rabbit. Because you're using both legs, it takes a lot more energy, it's super duper hardcore testosterone. My next quest was right in my wheelhouse, handling a bunch of big tools, and I found this shirt. Sun's out, guns out, baby. Oh no, Martin is choking out a bunch of meatballs. Give me those meatballs back. What are you doing? I couldn't save Martin in time. He didn't make it. After finding the rest of the tools and putting them in my pouch, it was time to go back and turn in my quest, but not before I put this robot in my pocket too. It would be hard for most gnomes to carry this back, but I am such a beefy ham sandwich that everybody's gonna understand that this is no big deal for me. It's why they asked me to do it in the first place. The same reason the dwarf asked me to beat up the boar. I mean, I don't blame him. He's a pansy and I'm amazing. And when I was looting the boar, What did you just give me? Are you trying to say something, game? Does this look like a short bastard to you? You think I need a short bastard sword? I am talking to your manager. After leaving a 1-star review on Yelp, I started turning in all of my quests, giving the boar hide to the boar guy, the robot to the robot lady, and going back to see Mr. Manly Man. You may not like it, and you may not be able to accept it, but that is what peak male performance looks like. What's much less riveting and optimal is the fact that my dragon randomly brought a bunch of wolves over here, and I still don't know why you're aggroing everything. He realized he broke the bro code and died. And this is where adventure mode is really starting to show its fangs, as even though I am fairly well prepared and there are only 2 mobs, it has taken about half of my health to take them down. The crazy thing is, if I'm not lucky with RNG, it's gonna get worse from here. But I'm not scared because I'm a manly man. And it's also time to revive my manly dragon by saying the manly magic words. Hamburger, cheeseburger, Big Mac Whopper, Big Mac Whopper. Having completed the ritual with the dragon alive, it's time to turn back to the dwarves and give them their stuff that I nearly died for. But according to all the alpha male videos on YouTube, self-preservation is a feminine trait and I should avoid it. And that's exactly why I removed all the labels on all the products underneath my kitchen sink. I was then tasked with killing trolls and getting a hot beer over to Bob in the barracks, and I don't know why he wants a hot beer, but it's on a time limit, so I better get going. So just like a famous shrimp fisherman, football star / war veteran, I decided to start running. The dwarf didn't care that life is like a box of chocolates, but he did take the beer and drink it in one swig. He didn't share with me though, so I know he's what you'd call a beta, as sharing is manly caring. While I was taking down some members of the Blue Man group, I ended up finding a hat, and getting this hat confirms that I've evolved into a mega mail. At least around me, every single guy I see on a daily basis is wearing a hat. I don't know what that's about. I sped up some combat here so you could get the idea of how much time this is taking, because seriously, this is becoming a giant grind fest. Also, I finally started retreating advancing in another direction after I had finally finished the quest, and somehow my whelp just dies. I don't even know what it started fighting, but it did, so I had to do the ritual again. This time doing the ritual, I was gonna do some chant about sports or something, but I'm really not into any of that jazz and couldn't be bothered to Google it. When I finally got back on task, I was able to deliver the quest items back to the dwarf, and he said, "Please save my diary from the bad man who stole it and ran into the cave. I will lead by example and go slay the Mohawk maniac. But next time you get your own damn diary back." It took me too long to find the cave entrance because I refused to ask for directions, but once I did, I managed to pick a fight with the locals. Now, these two nearly trash canned me and took over half of my health and nearly killed the dragon, but I have to pretend it didn't hurt, as is the manly way. Although, Jesus Christ, if this gets much worse, I think I may actually end up dying on repeat. But death is a lot like my taxes, because I don't like to think about either of those things. I took out about a solid 4 or 5 minutes of me fighting just to get to this guy and get the diary back, because I wanted to spare you all of the time that took. Look how slow this fight is, and this is not slowed down. Believe it or not, it's actually going to get much harder before it gets any easier when you're playing in adventure mode, and I'm super excited to share that with all of you. Oops, I forgot I'm not supposed to be sentimental this run. Anyway, using the Hearthstone to go back to the spawn because I don't have another 3 hours to fight my way out of this cave. After finally getting back to the dwarf and turning the quest in, I managed to level up to level 10. Now this is the biggest level and the most important because I can finally start getting new moves. Hopefully those moves are as masculine as I am and give some serious muscle. The first move I got was Hunter's Mark, which increases the damage I do to any given target if I decide to put the mark on them. I don't care about that, so I went to my passive, which is one of the ones I pre-selected earlier. It makes me do more damage with my fire spells. That's all you gotta know. Hunter's Mark isn't terrible, but I wasn't super satisfied with that move, so I decided to reroll until I got something that's more on theme. Eventually I got a move that allows me to vomit acid all over the place, which is pretty manly. Everybody knows a Kevin who's walked into a party and vomited everywhere, and everybody clapped. Kevin, we were clapping for you. We really thought that you could handle more Bacardi, and I'm sorry if you're watching this. Moving past that potentially made-up story, I became dissatisfied with the amount of vomit that I could spew. I wanted to spew more vomit. I messaged the devs asking if we could get more puke in the puke move, and they said that they weren't going to do that and I should stop emailing them, so instead I just re-rolled it to charge. And I know, you're thinking, why would I want charge if I'm trying to be a ranged caster? Why would I want to get up in their face so they could punch mine while I'm throwing fireballs? And it's to show off my courage and impress all the ladies. After my moves were solidified, it was time to go hand in my acceptance letter to Hogwarts. They said Harry Potter was not a manly movie and they docked me 2 man points. But this is where I'm going to call it for the day. As always, this is San for Days, I'm Course, and I get everywhere. Until next time, bye-bye now.